Hi, and welcome back to Yoga with Tim. Today we're going to start off with a seated meditation. So one of the things that I'd like you to take time to is to make a space for the practice. So as we do that, we'll sit as upright as possible, even if you have to sit on a block if your tendency is to slouch. And then we're going to just close our eyes and practice bringing our awareness into the inner body, and then also paying attention to the breath. So as I ring the bell, we'll practice 3 conscious breaths together. Sit up straight and tall, roll your shoulders back, rest your hands on your thighs, close your eyes and draw your awareness inward. Then gently open your eyes, but still keep your focus inward on your breath and the sensation in your body. Then lie down onto your back. And we'll take cross legs on the back. And so now with your legs crossed, you might feel that as the thighs drop down, that the lower back narrows. So lift your thighs up just slightly, spread across your sacrum lower back, and then let the thighs start to release towards the floor as the lower back, tops of the buttocks widens. Take your arms up to the ceiling, grab a hold of the opposite elbows, and start to make circles with your elbows. As you're doing this, I want you to feel like the humeral head, the arm bone, is dropping down into the socket. And then change the direction. Just starting to lubricate the shoulder joint. Notice where there's tension in any of the range of motion. Then change the clasp, change the cross of your legs, and make circles in the other direction. And other direction. Then holding your elbows, start to reach your elbows overhead. And just like you're widening the tops of your buttocks and your lower back, now I want you to widen across your back bottom ribs as your arms are stretching overhead. So you're spreading your lower back, your upper lower back, back of the skull, back of the neck. Stretch the knees and elbows away from each other. And then bring your elbows back up. Now take the soles of the feet together, stretch your arms up to the ceiling and hook your hands. And now as you inhale, slowly let your arms fall back, but notice the tendency for the ribs to want to tip up. Keep the ribs tipped into your body as your arms fall back. Bring your arms back up. And inhale, slowly let your arms start to fall back. Bring the arms back up. And one more time, slowly let your arms fall back. And back up. Good, then bring your knees together. And we're gonna work on turning on the low abs now. So to open up your arms to the side like cactus arms. Then as you exhale, tuck your pubic bone towards your chest. Feel your lower back start to flatten. And then lift the buttocks up towards the ceiling. And inhale, let it go. Exhale the pubic bone towards the chest. Feel your lower back start to flatten. Push the buttocks up towards the ceiling. Grip. And let it go. Bring your legs into tabletop position. And as you exhale, pubic bone towards the chest. Push straight up to the ceiling. And let it go. Again, pubic bone in towards your chest. Push up. And let it go. Now take a block in between your hands. If you don't have a block, you could just imagine that you had a block in between your hands. Hold your legs in tabletop position. And as you slowly let the block go back overhead, lower your right leg away from you, but now keep the low abs engaged, upper abs engaged, so that the abs stay in as you stretch away from the midline, or away from the center rather, and then back up to center. And slowly change sides. Back up. Change sides. And now if you can hold the abs in, the lower belly in, and push the legs straight out. Go ahead. Back up. One more round. And then let's try the more challenging, lower both knees away from you, keeping the low abs in, rib cage in as the arms go back, and back up. 4 more times. Now on this last one, curl up and over to the outside of your right knee. Inhale back down. Exhale to the left. Inhale back down. Exhale to the right. Inhale back down. Exhale to the left. Inhale back down. Last round, exhale to the right and push your left heel forward. Inhale back down. Exhale to the left. Push the right heel forward. Inhale back down. Exhale up, straight up to the knees. Hold there, squeeze your abs in. Push your right heel forward. Change legs. Change legs. Change sides. Lower your knees down. Lower your head down. Open your arms out to the side like cactus arms. With your feet the width of your mat, let your knees swivel over to the right as you look to your left. Change sides, knees to the left as you look to your right. Come back to center and hug your right knee in as you stretch your left leg out along the floor. Change legs, hug the left knee in, stretch your right leg out. Hug both knees into your chest. Roll yourself back and forth a couple times as long as it feels okay on your lumbar spine. And then roll all the way up to seated. Come onto your hands and your knees. And let's go into flexion and extension. So flex the spine first. Tuck the buttocks to the backs of the knees. Round your back. Spread your blades. Inhale, sit bones up, wheel your chest forward. 2 more times and with your breath. Come into neutral. Stretch your left arm forward and your right leg back behind you, but keep the buttocks out of the lower back, the belly pulled up. As you exhale, bend the elbow and the knee. Inhale, reach back out. Exhale, bend the elbow and the knee. Inhale, back out. Exhale. Inhale, reach out. Lower your hand and your knee down. Change sides. Stretch your right arm forward, your left leg back. Bend the elbow and the knee. Inhale, reach out. Exhale. Inhale. Again. Last one. Lower your hand and your knee. Then open up your hands and press down into your index finger knuckle, middle finger knuckle, and ring finger knuckle. Open the skin on the hands and make sure your shoulders are right over the heel of your hand. Then keep the hands nice and firm and lift up on the inner shoulders. Scoop your belly up. One leg at a time. Step back into plank pose and keep your blades hugging down onto your back. As you scoop up in your belly, press down in between your big toe mound and second toe mound. Lift up your thighs. So feel your front body resisting gravity, resisting the tendency to sink. But then at the same time, engage your lats so that your blades aren't creeping up into your neck. The neck is long. Instead of letting the head hang, keep the head up in line with the spine. Now maintaining this, engage your core, raise your right leg up. Strong buttocks. Change sides. Change sides. Change sides. Set that foot down, lower the knees, then lower your chest and your chin to the floor. Take a breath here, and then slide into Cobra pose. From Cobra, stretch your arms all the way forward, and we'll start to wake up the back muscles now. As you exhale, bend the elbows in a cactus position, lift the chest up away from the floor, and feel your external rotators turn on like you're lifting the wrist further from the floor. Inhale, stretch your arms forward, turn the thumbs up, get longer. Exhale, come back into cactus position. External rotators turn on, spine long. Inhale, arms forward, thumbs up. Exhale, back into cactus position, turn on the backs of the shoulders. Now press the tops of the feet down, engage your legs. Stretch the arms straight back behind you. Tap the hands down and lift up. Tap down, lift up, and squeeze the backs of the arms towards the ribs. Tap down and lift up. Same thing, squeeze, hold for 3. Engage your triceps. 2. And 1. Lower all the way down to the floor. Slide your hands next to your chest, roll up into your cobra or upward facing dog. Stretch back into downward dog. In downward dog, lift your heels up high away from the floor, stretch the toes, and stretch the heels low towards the floor, open up the backs of the legs. Lift the heels up high, stretching through the toes, and stretch the heels down low towards the floor. One more time, lift your heels up high. Now keeping the toe tips curled under, set your knees down, stretch your hips back towards your heels. Keep reaching into those middle 3 knuckles and rotate the inner arms up to the ceiling, the biceps. Now come back onto your hands and your knees, flip the toes back, slide the hands in a few inches, and with the toes pointed back, start to lift up into downward dog, reverse toe dog. Set the knees back down, curl the toes under and stretch back into child. Come back up, point the toes back, and stretch back into dog. Again, knees down, toes curled under, stretch back. And then keeping your toes curled under, walk your hands back to your knees. See if you can get the toes to curl under a little deeper. You can even lift the knees up. And then see if you can walk your hands back onto your legs. As long as it's okay on your ankles and your knees, then hold here, interlock your fingers, turn your palms inside out, Stretch your arms forward. Feel your inner arm bones drop back into the socket, but then the arm muscles stretch long. Rebend, and then start to raise the hands up towards the ceiling. Bring your arms back down, hands back down onto the mat, and stretch back into downward dog. Open up the backs of the knees, open up the soles of the feet and the hands. Then 1 foot at a time, walk your feet all the way forward to the front of your mat. Put a little bend in your knees. Let the navel release towards the spine. Feel your groins release back and down towards your ankles. Let the back of the skull drop. Then slide your hands up your shins. Start to make a flat back. So push the hands into the shins. Feel the back muscles turn on, the lats. And then slide back down. Let the back of the skull release. As you inhale, come all the way up to stand. Strong up over your pillar legs. Raise your arms up. And now, as you press down into your heel bones, lift through the outer side ribs up through the pinkies. And as you take a deep breath in, visualize the diaphragm being stretched through the reach of your arms. And release your arms down at your side. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale into a flat back. Step back into plank pose. Lower slowly into chaturanga or all the way down onto your belly. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Look all the way in between your hands. Step or hop your feet all the way forward to the front of your mat. Inhale into a flat back, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, raise your arms. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back into plank pose. Lower slowly into chaturanga or onto your belly. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Breathe evenly in and out through your nose. Slow, steady breathing. Look in between your hands. Step or float all the way up to the front. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back and lower into chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. From down dog, shift into plank and pull your right knee up into your chest. Then inhale, reach back into three-legged dog. Exhale the knee to the chest, pull up. Inhale, reach back. Exhale the knee to the chest, pull up. Step your foot all the way up by your thumb. Hug your right hip into the midline, lift from your belly and come up into crescent. Lean your chest right out over your knee, arms back behind you. Then set your left hand down and twist, take your right arm up. Bring your right hand down, set up your back foot for warrior one. And as you reach down through the four corners of your back foot, scoop up your navel. Inhale, come right up through the midline. Bring your hands back down, step back into downward dog, or take a vinyasa. Shift into plank and pull your left knee up to your chest. Inhale, reach back, three-legged dog. Exhale the knee to the chest. Inhale, reach back, three-legged dog. Exhale the knee to the chest. One more time, inhale, reach back. Exhale the knee to the chest, lift up. Step your foot all the way up by your thumb. Now firm your outer hip in, lift from your belly and come up into crescent. Now feel the stretch from your inner front hip all the way down into your big toe mount on your back foot. And at the same time, lift your side ribs so that you're not sinking, so you can get a deeper stretch in the inner front hip. And lift up through the outer side ribs, up through the pinkies. Get taller through the reach of the back leg. Chest out over your knee now, arms back behind you. Set your right hand down and twist. Take your left arm up. Bring your hand down, set up your back foot for warrior one. Reach down through the four corners of your back foot and keep your left hip crease drawing back towards your back ankle. Scoop up your belly, lift from your bandhas and raise your arms up. Bring your hands back down. Step back into downward dog or take a vinyasa. Look in between your hands. Step or float all the way up to the front of your mat. Inhale into a flat back. Exhale, fold deeper. Sit your hips back like you're sitting into a chair. Descend your heel bones. Let the groins release down, but then lift up from the pelvic floor up to the core of the spine as you raise your arms, chair pose. Stand and release your arms at your side. Inhale into chair. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back and lower into chaturanga. Inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Step your right foot for warrior one. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Step your left foot. Inhale into warrior one. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, step your right foot all the way up to your right thumb. Then turn your back heel for warrior two. Now hug your right hip back into the midline, press the thigh knee out. Lift from your belly, take your left arm up and over, right arm forward. So now just glance down at your right leg again, and you want to see that your knee is pointing in line with your second, third toe. There's a track from the center ankle to the center knee to the center hip. Then smooth from this back leg hip all the way down into the four corners of the back foot. Keep the stretch from that back leg hip as you go to tip out over your right leg, and either bring your forearm to your thigh, or you can place your hand onto the outside of your foot. Take your left arm all the way over your ear, and find a long line of energy from your back ankle to your fingertips on the left arm. The crease of the right hip draws back towards your back ankle. Reach your chest away from your hips and keep growing that back leg line long to the reach of your fingertips to your ankle. Then press down through your feet. Inhale, come up. Straighten your right leg and press in between your big toe mount and second toe mount on your right foot. Turn your thigh out. Then reach out over the straight leg, place your hand down onto the block or onto the floor, and stretch your left arm up to the ceiling. Then bring your left hand back down. Spin your back heel up as you bend your right knee. Plant the left hand flat and push down into those middle three knuckles again. Roll the inner arm forward and then start to turn your chest. Take your right arm up. Now roll into the outside edge of your back foot, and as you press down into the outer edge of the back foot, slide your right leg back into side plank. Then slowly with control, come back into plank pose and stretch back into down dog. Step your left foot up, turn your back heel down, reach down to your feet, scoop up from your belly and come up. Then check to make sure that your left knee is tracking with the third toe again, center ankle, knee, hip. Reach from your back leg hip all the way down into the four corners of your back foot, and then keeping the connection, the stretch through the back leg hip, start to lean out over your leg, either bring forearm to thigh or hand onto the outside of the foot on the block, and take your top arm all the way over your ear. Then find the connection through the hip, from the back leg, hip, through the foot, and through the reach of the fingers. Long line of energy. Breathe into it. Press into your feet and come back up. Then straighten your leg as you open up in between the big toe mound, second toe mound. Tip from your pelvis out over your leg. Place your hand down. Stretch your right arm up to the ceiling. Then bring your right hand down. Spin your back heel up as you bend your left knee. Plant your right hand flat and connect into those middle three knuckles again. Heel the hand under the top of the shoulder. Lift up on the inner shoulder, then twist. Left arm goes up. Turn onto the outside edge of your back foot. Reconnect into the roots of your right hand, and then step your left leg back. Press down into your feet. Lift up through your hips. Lift out of the shoulder instead of sinking into it. Come back into plank pose. Take a vinyasa or stretch right back into downward dog. Step your right foot for warrior two. Straighten your right leg and reach into triangle. Bend your right knee and slide your hand a foot in front of your pinky toe. Step up into half moon pose, Ardha Chandrasana. Then bend your right knee, slide back into triangle pose. Come up into warrior two. Flip your right palm up, reach up to the ceiling, reverse warrior, without sinking in your lower back. Lift out of the lower back as you reach through your fingers. Come back to warrior two, hands to the mat. Step back into downward dog or take a vinyasa. Step your left foot all the way up by your left thumb. Warrior two, inhale, come up. Straighten your left leg and reach into triangle. Bend your knee, slide your hand a foot in front of your pinky toe, and step up. Lift your left outer hip and move it towards your back heel. Then grow the spine long. The tip of the tail, reach it towards the back heel. Find that same line from your back leg ankle to your hip, all the way through your spine. Then as smooth as you can, bend your left knee and slide back into triangle pose. Reach through your feet, pull with your top arm, come back up. Bend your knee into Vira 2. Without sinking in your lower back, flip the palm, reach up. Then come back to Vira 2. Straighten your left leg, turn your left toes in so your feet are parallel. Plant down your roots, your heels, your big toe mounds, little toe mounds. Hands on your hips, roll your shoulders back, inhale. Exhale, tip forward in between your legs. Inhale, come into a flat back, reach your heart forward. As you exhale, bend your right knee and stretch through your left inner leg from your groin towards the four corners of your foot. Change sides. Back to center and fold forward. Turn your fingers to point back, thumbs point out, and let your head start to drop down. Then turn the fingers to point forward, classic position. Turn the elbows in as you root down into those middle three knuckles again. Lift your inner blades out of your ears and let your head drop down. Inhale into a flat back. Then walk your hands around to the front of your mat and step back into downward dog or take a vinyasa. From down dog, step your right foot all the way up by your right thumb. Then set up your back heel for warrior one. Come up onto your fingertips. And again, make the back leg connection into the four corners of your back foot. Now lift up from the inseam of the back leg up through the pelvis and come up into warrior one. Lift the outer side ribs. Take that deep diaphragmatic breath to stretch. Then straighten your right leg. Bring your arms to your side. Open up the space between the big toe mound and second toe mound again, and start to lift the skin just above your kneecap up towards your hip. Now lean your chest out over your leg halfway. Pause there. Reconnect into the big toe mound space and squeeze your right outer hip in. Chest open. Then navel to spine, lengthen all the way out over your leg, but keep the integrity of this front leg. Hands down, head down. Breathe into the stretch. Then inhale, come back up into a flat back. Spin your back heel up, lean into your right foot, and walk your hands a foot in front of your foot. Press the fingertips down, engage your lats, wake up your back muscles. Lift your right outer hip crease up. Then one arm at a time, float the arms back behind you into warrior three. Without your left foot touching the floor, come up to stand, bring the knee up, and raise your arms up. Lift up from your belly, and then push your heel straight out in front of you. From here, bend your right leg, then wrap your left leg up and over your right, and cross your left elbow under. Then uncross the arms and the legs. Stand tall in mountain pose. Inhale, raise the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale into a flat back. Step back into chaturanga, through up dog, back to down dog, or just straight back into down dog. Step your left foot up by your left thumb. Set up your back heel and come up onto your fingertips. Find the connection through your back foot. Then lift through the inseam of your back leg, up through the pelvic floor, up through your belly. Raise your arms up. And diaphragmatic breath, lift up through the pinkies. Then straighten your left leg, arms down at your side. Open up the space between the big toe mound, second toe mound, and start to lean out over your leg. Draw the skin from above the kneecap up towards the hip. And then lengthen all the way out over your leg. Inhale into a flat back. Then walk your hands a foot in front of your foot. Press the fingertips down, engage your lats so that your chest reaches forward. Lift the left outer hip up and level your hip bones to the floor. Then one arm at a time, float the arms back without the hips swinging to the side. Lift the chest up to hip height. Warrior 3. Without your foot touching the floor, come up to stand, bring your knee up, raise your arms up, then push your heels straight out in front of you without your hips coming forward. Bend the standing leg, wrap your right leg over, and cross your right arm under. Uncross the arms and the legs, stand tall and mountain. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back into downward dog or take a vinyasa. Step your right foot up by your right thumb. Drop your back knee down. Scoop up from your belly and raise your left arm up to the ceiling. Then twist, hook the elbow to the knee. Press the elbow down, lift the heart up, join your palms together. So now we're gonna do a little progression of all the standing twists. It's gonna be kind of gnarly, but I feel like you guys can stay with me on it. First, it's important that your hip doesn't swing forward. That'll turn off your whole postural chain. So tuck the hip back in, lift up your heart. Now curl your back toes under and start to lift the back thigh up without the hip swinging out to the side. Do you have the strength to keep it hugged in? Good. Then from here, bring your right hand to your hip. Put your left hand down, a foot in front of your foot on the inside. Block or floor your call. Lean into your hand and foot, but don't let the hips kick out. Keep it on a track with your right ankle and raise your back leg up. Ooh, it's gonna require a lot of hip strength, a lot of core strength. Push through that back heel, reach straight out through the line of your big toe with your head, and then turn and take your top arm up. Now, as smooth as you can, slide your left foot back about 3.5 feet. Press down into the left hand, twist, and come into twisted triangle. Then bring that hand down, lean into your foot and raise your back leg up for a breath. Then bring the left knee to the outside of your right ankle. Sit back onto the inside of your heel, wrap your arm around like a coat hanger arm, hug in, sit up tall, and twist. So heck, we're even gonna throw in a seated twist. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Okay, now a little preview for the arm balance series. So we've been making this series for you guys. I'm pretty darn excited about it. So we don't do a lot of the different variations of arm balancing very often, but now that there's this series, I want to start to introduce you guys to some of these other variations of arm balancing. Okay, so from here, you're going to try to hook your armpit way up by your outer knee up by the armpit. Then this bottom foot, it's gonna be a little spring to push up your butt. So you can even use your right hand, push down with your right hand, and use that little spring and hook your buttock on your heel. Then, pressing down into the bottom leg shin, put your hands shoulder distance apart like chaturanga arms. Engage your bandhas, lift from the pelvic floor, seal the navel up to the spine, and then see if you can lean into your chaturanga arms, keeping your collarbones broad. If it's all going well, then lift your feet up off the mat. And then see if you can extend the legs. And then release. How'd it go? Okay, if you have questions about it, you know where to hit me up. Hit me up in the Facebook community. And stretch back into downward dog. Step your left foot up by your left thumb. Lower your back knee down. Scoot from your belly, inhale your right arm up. Then turn your belly, twist, hook your elbow to your knee. Join your palms together. Okay, so here's that really important outer hip action. This is gonna help you keep you long and twisted. So keeping the left hip hugged in, curl your back toes, lift the back leg up. Then bring your left hand to your hip, slide your right hand a foot in front of your foot on the inside, lean into your foot, but don't let the hip kick out. Go slow, raise the back leg from your strong core, then spin your ribs and take your left arm up. Then from here, slide your right foot back about 3.5 feet. Press down into your right hand, into the floor or the block, and soften your navel so that your belly can twist. Then from here, lean into your left foot and raise your back leg up just for a breath. Then bring your knee to the outside of your ankle. Sit back onto the inside of your back heel. Ardha Matsyendrasana. Hook the elbow. Now you'll be able to see from the back side. Press down to your left finger, sit up tall. I think I'm going to hit the glass if I'm going to scoot over. Hold on a second. Adjust if you're going to hit the glass at home. Okay, then from here, I'm going to hook this armpit as deep as I can. So for sure, the deeper you can twist, the easier this is going to be. Then push down with the left knuckles, lift the butt up onto the heel. Hands come down, and then look how I use this bottom leg shin to prop me up. I set up my hands just where I want them, right underneath my shoulders. Okay, then press down with that bottom foot. Get myself all set up, collarbones broad, back muscles turned on. And then back to seated. So really important before you go to lean into it is that you have good shoulder alignment. You're not letting your shoulders sink onto your chest. Your back muscles are turned on so that the front of the shoulder head is open. And you're going to learn all that in the arm balance series, which, since you're a conscious movement community member, it's 100% free for you. So check that out on the conscious movement community. I mean, you're already on it, so you're good. Stretch back into downward facing dog. All right, now from downward facing dog, press down into your hands. And as you reach down into your middle three knuckles, start to lift up through your hips. Pretend like you could do a handstand on your arms. So your arms are super strong like steel. Scoop up your belly, and at the end of your exhalation, bend your knees and float to the front of your mat. As you inhale, come into a flat back. Exhale, fold deeper. Hold here in Uttanasana 5 breaths. Then inhale, come up. Press down through your left heel and keeping your left thigh back, bring your right knee up. So part of the challenge is keeping the psoas line long, not letting the hip come forward. Open your right knee to the side and see if you can take your big toe without the left thigh coming forward, still staying tall. Then see to what degree can you straighten your right leg, still keeping this thigh back, spine tall. Take your leg straight out in front of you. And then cross your ankle just above your left knee. Bring your hands to prayer and start to sit back like you're sitting into a chair. Hold there or hook the elbows to the shin and then drag your heart forward. And then come back up to stand. So that's the preparation for another arm balance that we're going to work on in next month's video. Press down through your right heel, keeping your right thigh back. Bring your left knee up and open to the side. Hold there or take the big toe. Then bring your leg straight out in front of you. Cross your ankle just above your knee, join your palms together, and start to sit back like you're sitting into chair. Hold here, or keeping your sternum lifted, maybe you can hook the elbows to the shin, and then pull the shin, press the elbows down as you pull your heart forward. And come back up to stand. Mountain pose. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale into a flat back. Step back into downward dog or take a vinyasa. Okay, cool. Now let's work on a variation of Shirshasana. Now this next variation is very compressive for your cervical spine. So if you lack the ability to already do a normal headstand, then this one can be more dangerous because you haven't learned the lift of your shoulder blades yet and the ability to keep the cervical spine elongated while you're loading your head. So that's kind of a preliminary. So I want you to make sure that as you're practicing this, instead of letting your shoulders creep into your ears, you're using your back muscles to keep the shoulder blades on the back and the neck tall. You can also practice this, you can move yourself against a wall so that if you start to fall over, you're not gonna break anything or yourself. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know about this one is you wanna set up yourself in a triangle shape. So my hands go underneath my shoulders, I'm gonna put my head in a triangle position, equilateral triangle, just out in front of the index fingers. So I'm going to go right onto the crown of my head, the highest point of my head. Then as soon as I get that down, I lift my shoulder blades up so the neck is tall. Then curl the toes under and start to lift the hips like I'm going to pull the hips up over the shoulders. From there, I can bring my knees in and then take my legs up. As long as I stay rooted in the middle 3 knuckles and keep the shoulder blades lifted, legs can go all the way up. To come back down with straight legs or with bent knees, just lower the legs back down. Set the knees down. So the straight legs is going to be a little more advanced. I'd actually recommend bending the knees, going back in reverse from the way that you went up. And eventually as you start to get stronger, more coordinated, you can practice going in and out with straight legs. Let's rest the head in child's pose. And then we'll come into Supta Virasana preparation. Walk your hands back a foot behind you, roll your shoulder heads back and open up your chest. Keep lifting your heart straight up to the ceiling and then see if you can lift your hips up. And then lower your butt back down. So if you're feeling like, man, I don't really feel much stretch at all when I do that, then I'm going to invite you to go to the next phase where you're going to back bend over the block at the block on your upper back. If that's already a ton of stretch, you're like, dude, that's so gnarly already, then just stay with that one. We'll do that one more time. Okay, so either heart up, hips up, or lower down onto the block with the block in your upper back. And come back up. And then lie on your belly. Bend your knees and reach back with your hands for your feet. Roll your heart open, just like we were practicing on the shins. And then start to move the buttocks towards the backs of the knees. Scoot from your navel up towards your heart. Lower yourself back down and stretch your legs straight back behind you. Now as you press your frontal hip bones and pubic bone down, engage the legs, spin the groins up, lift the shoulder heads. Keep the legs engaged as you stretch your arms straight out in front of you. Get longer. And then lower yourself down and rest one cheek on your mat. It's kind of intense. Rest the other cheek on your mat. So as we're working up to doing more advanced back bending, that Supta Virasana shape is going to be super important. And I just want to prepare you guys for the flexibility series. I'm very excited. Many series coming out. The flexibility series was going to start to explore deeper back bends. Some of them I can't do because of a surfing injury, so come into up dog now. Stacy's going to show some of them, but I hope Stacy will show some of them. And then stretch back into down dog. But the intermediate back bends will lead up to with just me. Sit for Bharavadrasana. Come to a kneeling position. Take your feet over to the left and twist to your right. Change sides, feet to the right, and twist to your left. Come back to center and take your legs wide apart. Then place your fingertips in front of you as you press down into the floor, scoop up your belly, lift your heart up. So really important, before you go into the next phase of the pose, I want you to feel that your thigh bones are descending, they're releasing down and away from you, and it feels like you're upright through your whole spine, it feels buoyant. Then bring your left leg into Janu Shirshasana position. Turn to face your right leg. Find that same release of your thighs, especially the left one, as you start to lengthen out over your right leg. Take a hold of your foot or whatever you can, strap towel, and then feel the release again of your thighs. If you're feeling it, you're like, yeah, I don't really feel much stretch now, then go deeper, put your head on your shin, whatever. But if your whole body is fighting back, come out of the pose a little until you can feel the release again. So when we're doing these deep stretches, as we'll start to learn in the flexibility series, it's really important that you feel the release, the surrender, before you push on. Inhale, come back up. Stretch your left leg out and bring the right leg into Janu Shirshasana position. Turn to face your left leg, sit up tall, feel the release, and then as you soften your belly to your spine, start to lengthen out over your leg and see if you can catch your foot without the body fighting back. Inhale, come back up. Take Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees wide apart. And again, first thing, just work on your upright seat. Grow as tall as you can through your spine. Then if you're feeling like, yeah, I feel the thighs releasing really nicely, see if you can start to tip forward a bit. But if you start to tip forward and you feel your body fighting back, the thighs lifting, the spine tucking back under, then just stay in the upright seat. Some people might be able to put their head on their feet. What you want to do is just go to where you feel the barrier, where you feel the resistance, be there and breathe. That's how you're going to create more flexibility. Inhale back up. Then cross your legs at the shins and fold forward, or take double pigeon. Inhale, come back up. Change the cross of your legs. Inhale back up. Then cross your right knee right over top of your left knee, or as best you can. Sit up tall and take your right arm behind your back from under, left arm from above. And release that. Change the cross. Release and stretch both legs out in front of you. Fold forward for Paschimottanasana. And again, go to where you feel the barrier and be there and breathe. So it might be all the way up here, might be holding your feet, or it might be deep into forward flexion. Remember, be in your body. It's important that you're creating your mind-body connection. It doesn't have to look like me or anything that you've seen, any pictures of yoga or anything. Don't place that judgment on yourself. That's all just ego getting involved in the practice. Ego is going to tell you like, oh, my yoga poses have to look like this, or I have to be good at yoga, or I'm bad at yoga. That's all ego. Don't get into that. Instead, just be in the sensation, be in your body, and breathe. Come back up and come into happy baby. Lie down onto your back. And if it's difficult to catch your outer foot, then you can just hook your big toe. Otherwise, holding the outer feet, let the hips drop back down out of your lower back. Let your shoulders relax towards the floor. And open the feet out in line with your shoulders. Then set your feet down onto the floor. Cross your right knee over your left knee. Arms out at the side. And with your right knee crossed over your left, shift your hips over to the right a little. Slowly let your knees fall over to the left without the right shoulder lifting. Come back to center. Change the cross of your legs. Shift your hips over to the left a little and slowly let your knees fall over to the right. Come back to center. And stretch out for Shavasana, corpse pose. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Fill your lungs from the bottom all the way up to the top. And let it go. Completely let go. Surrender the body. Relax. Give yourself permission to drop into the inner space. So just notice now at the end of the practice, how much more open and relaxed you feel in the body. How much more space it feels like there is in the mind instead of stressed and tense and cluttered. I feel much more free and open. So allow yourself just to indulge in this inner space for the next couple minutes. Feel how much more room there is for the breath to move. And let yourself be more identified with the space in between the thoughts instead of the thoughts. Be the presence that's watching instead of the content of the mind. And slowly bring yourself back. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Bend your left knee. Roll over to your right side. And press yourself up to seated. Sit up tall with your palms together. And notice the shift. Notice how much more connected you feel body, mind, spirit. Thank you. Namaste. So I just want to remind you to hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss anything, and it's the best way to support the channel. And also leave a comment below. Let me know what other types of things you'd like to see in the series that are coming up. And also, if you enjoyed some of this deeper stuff, I really want to encourage you to sign up for the Conscious Movement community. What you saw in today's practice, the preps for the arm balances, I go into really great detail in the arm balance series. So you can find that all on the Conscious Movement community. Click the link below, and I'll see you over there. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.